name's Melissa. I'm a rising senior in the Tepper School of Business, and today I'm excited to introduce to you one of my former professors and one of my future professors, Professor Ben Moseley.
Hey, everyone.
He has had much experience within research and teaching, and I guess, Ben, can you just tell me a little bit about why you chose to become a professor instead of going into solely research or maybe just industry?
Sure, absolutely. So I have my PhD in computer science in an area that intersects operations research, an area that the Tepper School is very well known for. After getting my PhD, I had an option of going to industry or academia. And my true passion is research, but I think when you if you go to industry or academia, you have this choice. Are you going to work on products, or are you going to take that knowledge and transfer it to other people? And I decided that I was really excited about getting people energized about this analytical side of business. And so I chose to go to academia.
So you've teaching optimization at CMU, and can you tell us a little bit about your course that you're teaching for the first time in the fall?
Absolutely. So would you like to hear about optimization or the new course?
Well, you can talk about both, but I'm excited about the new course because I'm hoping you can give me some tricks.
Absolutely. So I'm introducing a new class called Machine Learning for Business. So I do a lot of research. As I said, my PhD is in computer science, and I do research on machine learning and its intersection with business. And so the idea here is we're going to take the tools that have been developed in machine learning and bring them to a level where we can think about how we can use them to improve our decision-making for business problems. And so you're going to learn a series of tools, and they're going to be coupled with some exciting applications where we can demonstrate how we can use them to learn from data to help us make better decisions. And so we're going to have a lot of the most recent machine learning technology integrated in this course. And it's something that I was really excited about developing and bringing these ideas to the classroom.
So I think I was familiar and saw that it was using R. Is that correct?
That's absolutely right. So we're still in development right now. Like everyone, professors also do things a little at the last minute as well. But yes, that's right. So we're developing the class in R, and to be clear though, you will do some hands-on implementation, but you need no implementation or coding background to take this course. So the idea is with minimal background besides some mathematical maturity, you will be ready to get involved in this class. But yes, it will be an R.
That's cool. So I took the statistics that's not in the business school most recently, and we did use some R. So I'm excited to kind of not just use it for classwork, but for actual activities. So that's something that was really interesting to me.
Absolutely. And we have lots of great data sets that come from applications I think students will be excited about, and you'll be able to process them and learn from them in the same way a data scientist would in practice. Should be cool.
So you mentioned, I guess, that it's still a work in progress. When you initially kind of designed the course, was it during COVID where you were thinking about remote learning or not really?
Well, I've been talking about this class, I guess, for about 2 years.
Okay.
And thinking about how to develop it. And now with the recent push for analytics, it was the right time to bring this class up. But that's right. So COVID hit, and I was expecting to have a lot more time. But while I've been at home, COVID has caused all kinds of new challenges that are time-consuming to overcome. So while doing all of that, I've been developing this class and with colleagues and students helping me develop it online together. But it's coming together in a way that I'm super excited about. It's better than I anticipated.
I guess so. Now this a little more broadly. So while we're working online, are there better ways to kind of approach you for office hours or find times? Because I know some professors have the set times that they do every week, and some kind of just have, email me. So I guess what are your best ways to connect with your students?
Absolutely. So the most important thing is to make sure that you reach out if you need extra help in any way. And so I'm open to all of it. But I typically try to set up a class in a way that is students know how to get a hold of us. So we'll have a Piazza, which if you haven't used it before, acts very much like a forum post with people monitoring that during the working hours. Then beyond that, the TAs and myself will also accept emails. We do office hours by appointment for both me and the TAs. So I feel like, we do our best to make ourselves available to you. And we'll also try to encourage students to reach out to us. But a piece of that as well is just make sure that you are reaching out if you have questions. These classes are designed in such a way that every student at CMU, the guys are brilliant. Like, you're gonna do well, but the material is hard at the same time. So I know you can do well, and I know also that when I took these classes that I struggled at some points. So when that happens, that's a great time to reach out to us, and then we can work with you, bring you back up to speed, and then we'll all be on the same page together.
Definitely. And I just want to let everyone that might be watching know that Piazza, you can post and just be anonymous to your classmates. So that was something that I used to be worried about, is I don't want to ask like a silly or stupid question where everyone might hear. And so Piazza helped me like be able to ask those questions that I might not have felt comfortable asking in class.
That's right. So I think that can help with asking questions where students don't feel like they're being judged by their peers. But let me tell you that you're not. In general, you're not being judged by your peers. If you have a question, I know from experience that at least 30% of the class has that same question then. Everything, people get stuck at the same exact places. And even if it feels simple, understanding this, once you grasp the simple things, then you're really on top of everything. So I never feel like something's too simple to ask.
I remember when I was in your class, I felt like every time I had a puzzled face, because I don't really have a poker face, you'd come over and be like, so do you know what you're doing? And I was always like, no, I don't. But you really always just kind of were there to just, even if I wasn't willing to ask the question, to just kind of be that support, which was really helpful. And made it
I find, this discussion is more fun. It's way more fun for everybody. And then if I do say something wrong, or I mumble, or I do a bad job that day, and I move on and nobody's learning anything. This is pointless. We should all go home. So I like to try to get the class involved, which is, actually has gone fairly well, even in the online setting, getting people to engage. And I have monitors set up so I can watch all the student faces while I'm lecturing, and it seems to work very similarly.
What's something that surprised you about Tepper undergraduate students when they were transitioning? Were they willing to keep their cameras on and still be engaged, or was it kind of a harder environment to kind of connect with your students?
Of course, it's a little harder because what can happen is that students flip off their camera and mic, and now they're browsing the web, right? And it's not as easy to see that, of course, with the cameras off as being in the classroom, naturally. But students also respond very well when being engaged. So if you can begin classes, or this is for me, when I begin classes, I have everybody switch their cameras on and we start talking to begin with, then people will keep them on for the rest of the lecture, and then it can spark discussions where the students and myself can all engage with each other throughout the class. And I also do, if you haven't used Zoom before, we use these breakout rooms where students will break up into rooms where they talk to each other with 3 or 4 students, and then I can join different rooms, and we do that so that every periodically throughout the class, so that there's some engagement, some lecturing, some engagement, some lecturing, and that way it's not just watching me on a screen for an hour, which I'm sure watching me blather on can be boring. And I think it's just way more fun this way. So it's the exact same way I tried to run the classroom, where there was a mix of lecture and some hands-on material.
And so when you guys are kind of problem solving throughout class, how is it possible for students to make sure that they're going through the processes right? Is it similar like we would do it kind of individually, and then afterwards we kind of go over it as a class? Or how were people understanding completely the
Good. So yeah, we would do these breakup rooms last semester, and then I would go to each one. Sometimes I would join and they were done. Other times I would join and students say, I don't know how to get started, and then I would help them and engage, and we get going, get ramped up, and get to the point where they were able to solve that question. And then after we would do all that, then we bring everyone together and go over it again, and that way nobody's left behind. So I would join every group would be making progress, and in the end we'd go over the solution together, and then every once in a while I would have discussions after class with students who who wanted to know more about what we were doing.
Okay.
And that way I feel like, everybody was up to speed together.
Great. And so after class, you're having these conversations, but what are you doing in your free time? What do you do outside of work?
Yeah. So with COVID, it's been more difficult to get out and do things. But every morning I go for a run through Frick Park, which is beautiful if you haven't spent any time there. And so I do that, and then I spend time with my wife in the evening these days, reading. I also, I guess through COVID, I've taken up learning poker as my COVID hobby. So I feel like being a math guy, I should be good at it, but man, it's still hard.
I just started running, so I played tennis at CMU, right? And now that our season's canceled, I'm like, I need something. I'm starting to train for a 5K, and so I have an app now.
Oh, congratulations.
Running is not for me.
It's one of these things that you need to get into. Like at the beginning, it's awful. But then when your body gets used to it, you have to do it regularly. Once your body's used to it, it feels good.
How many weeks does it take? Because I'm on week 2.
Yep. How often do you go?
3 days a week.
Okay, that's great. I guess then it's personal. Somehow, like after a couple of weeks, it doesn't hurt anymore. It doesn't hurt, right? It just, maybe you don't enjoy it, which I guess is a personal.
Well, so it's kind of paced. So the first week it was like a 1-minute jog, and now it's going to larger. And at 1 minute, I'm checking my watch, like, okay, I'm time to walk yet.
Yeah, if you can get to like the regular jogging pace and keep that going, like you could jog 2 miles, 10 miles. Usually it doesn't like bother you anymore. It just keeps going. But I do 5 miles every morning. At least 5 days a week, maybe couple days, 2 days a week I work or whatever. I hang out with friends late and then sleep in. But it's a nice way to get outside. I mean, the weather's been just beautiful here. Just to be cooped up inside during COVID is not.
Yeah, I guess one last question. So a lot of people haven't been to Pittsburgh yet. What's your favorite like go-to place that people need to see?
I mean, on your first time, you should go to Mount Washington, overlook the city. I think it's really beautiful. There's a bike trail that goes along the river. I love that bike trail. And it's a way for you to get to see the different buildings of downtown. And then in general, you should walk around CMU and Pitt's campus. They're really nice places. And soon when the restaurants are back and open, I guess they are open this week, but hopefully they'll be open when you get here. There's just a ton of great food in Pittsburgh. Lots to experience there.
Definitely, because a lot of my little incoming first years haven't had any experience in Pittsburgh at all. And so we've been trying to explain to them, yes, it is the big city, but there's also kind of the more suburban-ish feel if you want that.
Right. It's a big city, but it's not New York or Chicago. I grew up in Chicago. I've lived in New York. I lived in Manhattan. It has all the amenities of a massive city, but it's not extremely dense. So it feels very neighborhoody rather than a hustle and bustle place. And I think what's really nice is that in the city you have these 2 gigantic parks, Schenley and Frick Park, to get outside and get away from the city atmosphere. So you should utilize those. I don't think enough people do. Like, this is really nice.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. So I do want to thank you again for taking the time to talk to me and anyone who might decide to watch us talk. I do want to let everyone know that if you have any questions for Professor Moseley or myself, reach out to the Instagram account at Tepper CMU. And I hope everyone has a great day.